I'm Cath and this is made by Cath Craft. Welcome to my channel and thank you very much for joining me for this video, which is going to be one of my weekly sewing catch-up videos. So today I'm going to be chatting all about what I've been up to over the last week or so on the sewing front, which includes a make that I finished this week, another smaller make that I've been working on. Then I've got a couple of fabrics and patterns I wanted to talk about too, and a bit of a knitting update, but I'll make sure to put the knitting right at the end of the video after all of the sewing content. But yes, that is the plan for today's video, just to catch up on what I've been up to, mainly on the sewing front over the last week or so. But I'll start off as usual by sharing what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. And today here in the south of England, it is a beautiful sunny day outside, which is really nice. But it looks outside like it should be warm with the sunshine out, but it's actually still quite chilly. So I've got on quite a wintry outfit still, even though it looks lovely and warm out there, it really isn't. And I've got on a handmade top and a handmade dress. And I think I was actually wearing this same top when I filmed last week's video. I'm definitely getting a lot of wear out of this one actually. I made it a few weeks ago and I've worn it so many times since I made it. But I won't talk too much about it this week because I think I already talked about it last week. But just to summarise, it is a Freya top by Tilly the Button from the Stretch book. And I made it in this lovely wide rib knit cotton jersey that I got from Minerva. I'll link the pattern and the fabric down below. I'm just finding it really snuggly. It's quite a cosy cotton jersey. And yeah, I've been reaching for a lot. I'm finding it goes with a lot of things in my wardrobe. But one thing I did actually want to mention about this top was, I mentioned last week how when I made it, I made a bit of an adjustment to the neck band from how I usually sew the neckband. So I've used the sort of standard classic mock turtleneck neckband pattern piece, always mostly for my Freya tops. But for this one, I decided to just adjust it slightly, and I made it slightly deeper so it sort of sits slightly higher on my neck. And I also brought it in a bit so it sits more snugly around my neck as well. I hold my hair up so you can kind of see how it sort of fits. And somebody had asked me how I did that, how I adjusted the pattern piece. So I thought I'd just share that quickly or briefly here. So this is the Freya sweater mock neckband pattern piece, and it's designed to be cut on the fold, so it's kind of half. You get a piece of fabric twice this big. And basically what I did was, I kind of had a look at my normal Freya tops I've made, and I figured out how much higher I wanted the neckline to sit on this piece. And I figured out I wanted it to sit about 1.5 centimetres higher. So what I did was, I just added to this pattern piece 3 centimetres all the way along the top. Because you fold it over, so you kind of it needed to be twice as high as how much I wanted to actually increase it by, so 1.5 centimetres on each side of the folded over piece, how you sew it on. So yes, I just added on 3 centimetres, so quite a simple adjustment. And then I also just brought it in slightly by turning under the edge of the pattern piece and took it in by a few centimetres down the side, just to bring it in a bit, make it a bit more, fitted. And that worked quite well with this fabric because this fabric's really stretchy, being a rib knit fabric, so I can still get it on and off nice and easily, but I guess you wouldn't want to do that on a fabric that wasn't as stretchy because it might be a real struggle to get on and off over your head. And I actually didn't adjust the front or back sort of bodice pieces at all. I figured because it's stretchy fabric, I could just ease in a slightly narrower neckband into the same sort of size sort of neckband on these pattern pieces. So all I did was a few adjustments to this pattern piece, and then it was quite straightforward after that, just fitting it in and just stretching it a little bit more to get it to fit. But yeah, I'm really happy with this neckline. I think I would do it again. Actually, I quite like it a little bit more snug and a bit higher. It does feel really nice and cozy. So I hope that helped to the person who asked how I did it. I hope that's fairly clear. Just quite easy, simple adjustments to this pattern piece. And then I'm wearing my Freya layered with a dress that is another fairly recent make. And it's this pattern here, the Saltwater slip dress by Friday Pattern Co. This pattern has been out for quite a while, and I wasn't sure if a slip dress would suit me or if it's something I would wear. But then I saw this fabric go by on Minerva, and I just somehow thought this fabric could make a great saltwater slip dress, and it really inspired me to buy the pattern as well as the fabric. So this fabric is a viscose challis fabric. If it's still in stock at Minerva, I will link it down below. I think it might have come in a couple of colourways, but I can't totally remember. But it's a lovely fabric with a sort of, I think it's like a black base and then all these roses on. And I just thought the print was really 90s, and I think the Saltwater slip dress has a really 90s vibe, so I thought they'd go really well together. And I know that the Saltwater slip dress works really well for like a lightweight sort of drapey fabric. So yeah, I made this Saltwater slip dress. You can make it either as a sort of mini dress or a longer sort of midi dress. And I went for the longer midi dress, which is a bit different for me actually. And I haven't worn this one that many times. And when I do wear it, I do feel, it doesn't feel quite as me as like a shorter dress, because I generally go for like above the knee dresses, but I'm kind of getting more used to it and I am enjoying wearing it. It just feels a bit of a departure from what I'd normally choose. But it's a really nice sew. It's quite simple. There are no zips or fastenings. It's designed to be a little bit loose, but you can kind of cinch it in with a little waist tie. I've got a little waist tie at the back here to give it a little bit of shape around the middle, but you don't have to add the waist tie. You can have it kind of more of a kind of a very simple shift dress style too. And I think I made one size up on my measurements at every point. I think my measurements put me as an extra small on the bust and a small on the waist and hips. And I actually went for a small on the bust and a medium on the waist and hips, I think, just because I knew I wanted to wear this one as more of a layering piece. So I wanted to make sure there's a bit of room underneath to be able to put on like a top like this. But I think if I made it as a summery one that I wasn't planning to wear anything underneath, and wear it as like a strappy dress in its own right, I probably wouldn't size up on that version. But I've kind of like how it's a little bit looser. It doesn't feel too tight with this top underneath. One thing I have found though, since I've been wearing it, is I think there's quite a lot of bias binding involved, which I really enjoyed putting on. Like the top is bias bound all around here, and I think the straps are bias bound too. And I have noticed when I've been wearing it that I think the straps are stretching. I guess because it's cut on the bias, the fabric does tend to stretch more in that direction. So I've been the straps have these little lingerie little hoops here, you can see, and ones at the back here, so you can kind of adjust the length of the straps. But I have found every time I wear it, I've found like I've needed to cinch the straps further and further forward, and as you can see, they're now on the front now, which I feel looks a bit wrong. I feel like they maybe should be on the back. And I think the more I wear it, the more I might have to bring them further down, and I might end up eventually having to kind of maybe adjust the dress and shorten the straps a little bit. I don't know if anyone else has it. I guess because I've made it in a viscose, it does tend to stretch a little bit more, but yeah, it does feel a bit strange. I've kind of been noticing it's starting to sag down at the back. I've got to adjust the straps a bit more. I'm still really enjoying wearing it, but I don't know if I made it again, maybe I'd look into whether it'd be a bit hard to not cut them on the bias, because you kind of need it to be cut on the bias to curve around here. So I don't know what I could do to kind of stop that happening. Yeah, it's just something I've been noticing as I've been wearing it. I think I'm going to need to maybe at some point, if it stretches much more, do some sort of adjustment to the straps or kind of sew them down a little bit to stop them, stretching and feel like the dress is kind of constantly having to be pulled up a little bit. But other than that, I'm enjoying wearing it. It's got a nice slit up the side, so when I've been sort of do my fast walking, it doesn't feel restrictive or anything. And yeah, I do love this print. It does feel very 90s. I do like a bit of 90s style, and I've put on actually today a pair of earrings, also a little roses. I'll come a bit closer so you can hopefully see. And I think these earrings might even be from the 90s. They're very old. I've had them forever, so it's quite nice to get them on and feel they match quite well with this dress. And yeah, I made the dress with no length adjustment, and I'm 5'6", so I'll put a picture up so you can see kind of where it comes to on me. I think it's quite a long midi length, and I think maybe, I don't know if I made this for summer, maybe I'd go for the shorter version. I do quite fancy making a summer version, but I haven't got any fabric in mind yet. I'll have to just keep an eye out. I think it'll be quite a nice, easy, relaxed summer dress just to pull on. So yeah, may well make another Saltwater slip dress, but I am enjoying wearing this one, even if I'm finding the straps a little bit, of a faff to have to keep adjusting. So yeah, that is what I'm wearing today. So the next thing that I wanted to share in this video was my finished make that I talked about, that I was in the middle of last week, and now I've gone through all the final steps and finished it all off. And it's a shirt that I made using this pattern here, which is the Ollier shirt pattern by Paper Theory. So you can make it either as a classic shirt, which is what I've been making, or this shirt dress with a sort of tie at the waist. And it comes in the UK 6 to 28, up to a bust of 56 inches. And I was really drawn to this pattern because of the interesting construction, particularly I've been making it in a stripy fabric, and I love how you can play with stripes on this pattern. It's got this really interesting front yoke and sleeve piece. It's like a combined front yoke and the total sleeve. And it means you can kind of have the stripes going this way along the sleeve and then this way down the front of the shirt. And I'd seen other stripy versions and thought it looked really cool, so I thought it would be a great chance to use up this stripy fabric that I've had in my stash for quite a while. It's got a few other interesting construction details too, and I thought it would be a bit more of a challenging make. It does say it's a more advanced pattern, and I'm also a bit daunted by it, having seen a few people found points were a bit of a head scratcher in terms of the instructions. But yeah, I've really enjoyed working through it actually. I think it's increased my confidence to know that I've been able to work through it. Although I did omit actually the pockets here, which is supposed to be one of the extra tricky bits. So maybe at some point in the future I might go back and make a version with the pockets, but for my first version I omitted them for a couple of reasons, which I'll mention in a moment. But here is my finished Olia shirt, which I made in this lovely lightweight linen fabric, this striped lightweight linen that I got ages ago from Ditto Fabrics. I had a look on the website and it isn't still in stock. I don't think their fabrics tend to stay in stock very long. On the whole, they seem to get interesting sort of dead stock style fabrics in, and they don't seem to last that long, and then I'll get something new and exciting in. So but anyway, it's a lightweight linen, which is something I hadn't sewed with before, and I thought it'd make a lovely summery loose fit shirt, and the Olia is designed to be kind of relaxed, oversized, so I thought that'd be a good match. So as you can see, the stripes look really cool, I think, in the two different directions. I did take quite a lot of time carefully cutting out all the pattern pieces to make sure that all the stripe matching was kind of spot on. One thing that made it quite easy actually is that these stripes are 1 centimetre wide, and the Olia shirt seam allowance is all 1 centimetre wide, so it's quite easy to when I could see when I was cutting, I knew exactly how wide the seam would be based on the stripe width, which is quite handy. So yeah, this is the back here. It's got a little sort of box pleat in the middle. It's got this interesting construction here where you kind of have this back yoke and then this combined sleeve piece. So you'd have a top sleeve seam, all the shirt is one piece, and it was quite fiddly sewing that in place actually. You kind of have to pivot and make sure the fabric, you kind of twist it round so it doesn't sort of end up bunching up, you don't get any sort of tucks there. So yeah, take my time over that. But yeah, it's got this sort of sleeve with a sort of little sleeve vent and a cuff. And I think I hadn't decided what buttons I was going to use last week. So the buttons I eventually went for, I'll hold it up so you can see. They're these really cute little buttons I think look great for a shirt, and they were gifted to me a few weeks ago by Georgia from the Mend It Maker, and she started selling these buttons quite recently. They're recycled plastic buttons. They're made out of all sorts of recycled products, and they come in different colours. And the version I got was I think they're 13mm buttons, and they came in a set of 8, and they've got a little hint of blue in them, which you can just see it's quite subtle. But I thought that looked quite nice against the sort of blue and white of the shirt. I thought they're a nice size. I didn't want anything that's too much of a feature because I wanted to go with quite a classic shirt. I only had 8 buttons and you needed 9, so I've got 6 down the front and then 1 on each cuff. And at the moment I haven't done a buttonhole or a button on the collar here. I'm not sure I'm ever going to wear it done up, so I don't think I need one there. Somebody did mention actually, but I thought it was a really cool idea, is I could add a statement button that's a little bit different there, just to add a little extra kind of touch. So I might have a look and see if I could find a statement button, because I guess it might be nice to add one at some point. But yeah, at the moment I'd say it's finished anyway, because I'm going to wear it like this anyway, and if a cute button comes along, I might add that at some point. But in the meantime, I think it's fine as it is. So yeah, I really enjoyed sewing it. I definitely, if you're going to try making this shirt, I would really recommend, alongside the instructions, to look at Paper Theory's YouTube tutorial. It's kind of like a sew along, and it goes through all the steps. I actually really didn't refer to the instructions much at all. I pretty much used the video tutorial, and there were some nice hints and tips in there, and it was really nice to see every little detail being explained. Yeah, I'm usually like a paper instructions sort of person, but yeah, I'd really recommend the video tutorial. In terms of sizing adjustments, I made the straight size 6, and my measurements would put me between a 6 and 8 on the bust and between an 8 and 10 on the waist and hips. But when I looked at the finished garment measurements, and the shirt pattern talks a lot about how it's designed to be oversized, I thought I'd just go with the straight size 6 and see how it turned out. I did make one adjustment actually to lengthen the sleeves by 1 inch, and I'm glad I did that because they're a nice length now, and they might have felt just a teeny bit too short if I hadn't made that lengthening adjustment. And actually I like how the shirt's turned out. I think it's a nice amount of oversize. I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on and how it looks. I think if I made it again, just for fun, I might go for the size 8 just to see how that compared, a little bit more oversized. But I'd probably only do that if I was working with a more drapey, softer fabric, like a lightweight linen. I think if I made it in like a more crisp fabric, like a cotton lawn, I probably wouldn't want to size up because I think it wouldn't drape, and I think it would maybe feel a bit too big. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out actually. I think maybe again, if I made it again, I might lengthen the body just slightly. I don't think it is too short, and I'll probably mainly tuck it in, but I think I might just like it a little bit longer. I do often lengthen things by an inch or so, but I just thought I'd just go with it on this one and see how it turned out. I did make a few just slight changes from the pattern, particularly around interfacing, because for a lot of things like the cuffs and the button placket down the front, the pattern said to interface the whole pattern piece, or to interface like both cuff pieces, like the inner cuff and the outer cuff. And I thought with this fabric being quite lightweight and I wanted quite a relaxed, soft feeling summer shirt, I ended up just reducing the amount of interfacing so it didn't end up feeling too stiff and bulky, or too stiff in those places. So for the cuffs, I only interfaced the outer cuff piece and not the inner cuff piece. And I quite like that because it's got a bit of body to hold it there and to hold the buttonhole in place, I guess, but it doesn't feel too stiff. And then on the button placket, instead of actually just even interfacing half, I just added a strip of interfacing just for the place I was going to put the buttons, so just basically as wide as these 3 stripes. So there's only like 2 pieces of interfacing in total on the placket, one for the front piece and one for the back piece, because already you're kind of folding over the fabric, so you've got a bit more bulk there anyway. And I thought if it was all interfaced, I remember doing that on a shirt a while back, and when I wore the shirt and tucked it in, the button placket felt like it stuck out a little bit because it was more stiff than everything else because of the amount of interfacing. So yeah, I reduced the amount of interfacing there. I think I only also interfaced one of the collar stand pieces as well, and it recommends interfacing both. And I've got quite a nice soft collar because I thought I'd be wearing this in hot weather. I don't want anything feeling too stiff around my neck. And I was worried actually with only interfacing one collar stand piece that the other piece that wasn't interfaced might stretch out when I started to sort of sew it down, but actually this fabric behaved quite well and that didn't happen. So I'm quite pleased with the finish on the inside of the collar in the end. But yeah, it was definitely an enjoyable make, and I definitely took my time over it and just worked through it quite slowly, just because I wanted to get it all right, because I thought with the stripes particularly, they're quite unforgiving, and if I didn't follow the seam nice and neatly or get it all just correctly sort of pressed and everything, it would really show. And actually this week, once I finished this make, while it was all fresh in my mind, I wrote up a blog post all about this shirt and any tips and hints and, you know, all those little things I did, like the interfacing and things. So I'm posting that blog post this weekend, so it should be available, and I'll pop a link down below in case you fancy having a read about all the details of this shirt. And I put a few links in. I also use a different method of hemming the shirt because it's got a curved hem. And I've got a particular method I like to use to get a nice finish on a curved hem and stop it stretching out. So I use that method, and I'm kind of linking that in the blog post too. So yeah, I'll link the blog post down below in case you fancy having a read. But yeah, I really enjoyed sewing this pattern. I definitely would sew it again. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the pockets. I chose not to add the pockets on for this fabric because it's quite a drapey, soft fabric, and I thought if I added the pockets in, they're kind of hidden here. Firstly, because it's quite sheer, I thought you might be able to see the stripes through and it might stop the shirt looking so clean. But also I thought they might sag a little bit, just with the weight, it might just pull down. And I thought it might just spoil the look of the shirt. So yeah, again, if I made another one in a more crisp fabric like cotton lawn or cotton poplin, I probably would give the pockets a go and see how they are, see how tricky they are. But on this version, I'm glad to have kept it simple because I don't think I put anything in those pockets anyway, so they would just be there as a sort of nice feature rather than actually a useful pocket. So anyway, that is my Olia shirt. I'm really glad I gave it a go. I think I'd like to try the shirt dress at some point too. Again, it would just be finding the right fabric for it. But yeah, I'm glad to have finished it. I really like how the buttons turned out. I'll link the Etsy page, the buttons too, down below. And I was pleased to be able to use them. And yeah, I'm really glad how it turned out. It's a bit different from other things I wear. I'm not a big shirt wearer generally, but I'm looking forward to trying this and see how I enjoy wearing it. So yeah, that's my Paper Theory Olia shirt. So the next thing that I wanted to share in this video is something else I've been working on over the last week or so on the sewing front. This is another little set of makes, but very different to the more involved Olia shirt. These are a bit more quick and simple, and they were some items for my daughter's Our Generation dolls. So I think a few weeks back I shared that I made my first couple of items for my daughter's 2 Our Generation dolls. I made a set of 2 little woven dresses. I'll pop a picture up so you can see those. And they were quite fun to make, and my daughter was really pleased with them. And I asked her if she'd like me to make any other clothes for the dolls. And the next thing on her list that she really wanted was some more sporty outfits for the dolls. So that is what I've been working on this week, a little jersey outfit, a little top and shorts for each of the 2 dolls. And I made them using some fabric scraps I had left over from another project. It's a fabric I love, actually. I made originally my daughter and I matching dresses in this fabric. It's a cotton jersey. I made myself a t-shirt dress, the gathered skirt, and one that was similar for my daughter too. And I really like wearing my dress. And I don't know if my daughter still fits in hers, actually, because I made it last summer. So I have to try that on when the weather gets a bit warmer and see if she can still wear it or whether it's got too small. But anyway, there were quite plenty of scraps left, these little teeny tiny dolls' clothes, which don't take up too much fabric. So I'll show you on one of the outfits modelled by Cassie. So here is Cassie wearing one of the little outfits that I've been sewing. So it's a simple little cropped jersey t-shirt and a little pair of cycling shorts, which is exactly what my daughter wanted. And I think it looks really cute in this fabric. So 2 pairs, that one, and then there's another pair. Megan's not wearing hers at the moment, so I thought I could show you in a bit more detail. But yes, I used 2 free patterns for these garments. I'm finding there's a lot of free patterns out there for this American doll or Our Generation doll, which is great. For the t-shirt, I used a YouTube tutorial, which I'll link down below. It's a tutorial by the same lady that had done the dress tutorial that I'd used earlier. Just for a very simple little jersey t-shirt. The tutorial actually had this t-shirt made with, and you cut 2 back pattern pieces and then you kind of overlap them with a bit of Velcro down the back to get them on and off the doll. But my daughter isn't a big fan of Velcro on dolls' clothes because I think she finds it gets stuck in their hair sometimes and can pull their hair out of shape, and the hair is quite a thing to keep nice and orderly, so definitely anything you can do to kind of keep the hair looking nice is good, because once it's got a bit tangled it's quite hard to detangle. So what I decided to do was I decided to widen the neckline slightly on the pattern piece, so that actually I could just cut one back and just be able to pull it on over their heads, just like you would a t-shirt for, you know, me and my daughter, because it is jersey fabric and it is stretchy. So that's what I did, and it's turned out well. Actually, it is really easy to get on over the head. So you don't do a neckband on these, you just sort of turn them over and then sort of twin needle stitch on the top, which I find always gives a good finish. And I find if you twin needle stitch, personally I find it doesn't seem to stretch out as much as it might do if you were like using a zigzag stitch, so you get quite a nice flat neckband. And it was pretty much just like sewing, other than that neckband, rather than, you know, just turning it under rather than actually adding on a neckband, it was pretty much like sewing a t-shirt as you would do for anybody, just on a very small scale. So yeah, I did twin needle stitching again on the hem, but I did on these were so fiddly on the little sleeves, I just did a little zigzag around there, and that's turned out okay. And it's quite nice actually, because this fabric has so many different colours in, I was able to use up a couple of leftover threads rather than trying to buy like a purpley fabric to match. So yeah, I think I've just gone for like a random blue colour that I was looking to, had a little bit left over, and it was quite nice to use it up. So yeah, that is the top. I will link the little t-shirt pattern down below, but I just adapted it by just ending up cutting one piece on the fold rather than 2 pieces designed to overlap. And then for the little leggings, I found a blog post online rather than a YouTube video, just for a simple doll's legging. It's actually for like a longer legging, but I decided I got the pattern piece and just cropped them off to shorts level. And it's quite sweet. It's got a little elastic waistband here, so you just thread a small piece of elastic in, so it fits quite nice and snugly around the doll's tummy. And again, I used a little twin needle on the bottom there to hem them. Once I kind of cut the pattern piece a bit longer, and then we sort of adjusted to find the right length that my daughter liked. So again, it sewed up quite nicely, really didn't take much fabric, and I think they're really cute. So yeah, it was nice to use up a few of these jersey scraps. My daughter's really happy with the outfit, so yeah, I might well do a bit more Our Generation doll sewing at some point. But yeah, it's nice to have made them like a woven outfit and a jersey outfit now, so definitely broadening my doll's clothes sewing experience. And yeah, just happy to see my daughter pleased with them, and nice to be able to have them without any Velcro to save their precious hair. So yeah, that's a smaller make I've been working on this week. It was quite fun and to sew up, and quite a speedy little project too, and yeah, really the amount of fabric it takes is pretty minuscule. So yeah, those are Our Generation clothes, and I'll link those patterns down below, and also the fabric if it is still in stock, 'cause it's very pretty, nice soft jersey fabric. So that's what I've been sewing over the last week or so. And then the next thing that I wanted to talk about was a couple of fabrics and sewing plans. And the first one was actually the leftover fabric I have left over from my Olia shirt. So there's lightweight linen fabric. And I'll stand up a bit so you can see how much of this I have left. I have quite a decent amount left because I think when I initially bought the fabric, I might have bought maybe 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters, because I was originally thinking of maybe a cord set, so I wanted to have a bit more sort of for flexibility. So yeah, I'll stand up a bit so you can see how much I got left. So I've got a decent piece left. It's not its full width at much of the fabric, but yeah, it's a decent sized piece. And somebody had mentioned how it might be quite cute to make a pair of shorts to go with the shirt for summer. And when I did originally buy this fabric, I was originally thinking it might make a nice pair of shorts. I think I was thinking of it more with like a little t-shirt or cami top to go with it. But yeah, there wouldn't be enough for both those things. But I thought a pair of shorts might be quite nice. Just something quite simple. I don't think any shorts pattern that had too much structure to it would work because it's such a lightweight fabric. So that is one idea for it. But yeah, I just wondered if you had any other ideas, or for the shorts, if you had any shorts patterns that might work. I have historically made a couple of pairs of shorts in viscose by adapting slightly a free pyjamas pattern. I think it's the Walk the Plank pyjamas bottoms pattern by Patterns for Pirates, which is just like a basic woven pyjama shorts pattern. I think I had a little teeny paper bag sort of ruffle at the top, which might look quite cute in this fabric actually. And it is just a very simple pattern, no pockets, just quite basic, but I guess would work quite nice with the stripes. But I was just wondering if you had any more ideas with the fabric. Part of me thinks it might be nice to use it, and part of me thinks maybe I should de-stash it, just because I have found sometimes when I've made multiple garments in the same fabric, I don't always end up wearing the extra garment that I've made because it feels like I've made it more to use the fabric rather than because I actually want that garment in that fabric, if you know what I mean. But then equally, I wasn't sure if people would be interested in a de-stash because it's a bit of a random shape. And at one side, there's only this much of the actual full width. Although there is, as you can see, there's like a decent amount of fabric. So I'd love to hear your views on what I should do with it, really, because yeah, it'd be nice to, I don't want to just put it back in my fabric suitcase and have it sitting there forever. I'd rather use it or hand it on to someone else who might enjoy using it instead. So let me know what you think of that, because I'd rather, while it's out now, I'd rather sort of do something with it rather than having it languishing in my fabric suitcase. And I am trying to sort of not put too much in there, because then I do find it does sort of disappear into black hole there and might not come out for quite a while. So yeah, I'd love it if you let me know what you think on that one. And then on the subject of my fabric suitcase, while I was getting out these fabrics and having a general look for options for the dolls' clothes, I also pulled out some more fabric that I'd really like to sew with sooner rather than later, so I thought I'd share that now. This is some fabric I've had since last year, I think, and I think it's really pretty, and I have kind of toyed with the idea of de-stashing it, but actually I'd really like to turn it into something. It is this lovely viscose fabric. It's a Fabric Godmother fabric. It's one of their Joni stripe designs, which comes in different kind of cloths and different colours too, but this is the kind of creamy sort of version. And this is the viscose base, so it's lovely and soft and drapey. And you might, if you've watched my channel a while, you might know that I'd originally bought this fabric planning to buy the viscose fabric to make a Tanita top by 5 Mood, which is quite like a billowy top with elastic on the sleeves and elastic on the bottom. But by mistake, Fabric Godmother has sent me the cotton lawn version, and I'd end up cutting out before I'd realised it was cotton lawn rather than viscose. I kind of just assumed it was quite a well-behaved viscose until it suddenly twigged. So I ended up making that top in the cotton lawn, and I do like it, and I don't really want to remake it in the viscose now because I probably wouldn't wear both. So yeah, I've got this viscose left over, and I really like to sew it up into something, and whenever I pick it up, I just think it would make a really nice summery dress. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, and I think I'd like to sew that up before this summer at least, so sooner rather than later. And what I thought was, I was thinking of making maybe an Ogden cami hack, which I know is something I enjoy wearing, just a nice strappy sundress with maybe a gathered skirt added on. And so to that end, I bought another viscose fabric in this plain sort of creamy colour, because I thought if I make the Ogden cami, it needs like a little lining on the inside of the bodice. And I thought if this fabric, well, I might not have enough of it in the first place, but also because again, it's quite lightweight, and you can see in a way here, the layer below sort of showing through. I thought if I did 2 layers of this fabric, it would probably show through and it would spoil it a little bit. So I thought it'd be nice to have something plain for the lining. So I just got this, I think I got this a while ago from Minerva when I was making another order. I just added it on as a little extra. It's just their basic viscose challis. It wasn't, it was quite inexpensive. I think I might have a metre of it, although it looks like a bit more than that, but I'm not sure. I certainly have plenty left over if I just use it for a couple of pieces of bodice lining, but I think it'd be quite useful to have it in my stash, this kind of neutral viscose anyway, for pocket bags or bias binding and all sorts of things. So yeah, that's what I was thinking actually, of an Ogden cami dress with a gathered skirt. And then the next question is, how do I use these stripes? Do I make them all horizontal? Do I go vertical? Do I do a bit of a mix? I'm not quite sure at the moment. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. I mean, I don't actually even know how much I've got to play around with. So it might be I'm quite limited by the amount I've got, but I'm sort of hoping to squeeze a little summer dress out of this. I was thinking, oh, maybe I should make a midi dress, but I don't think I've got enough. So I think it'll have to be a shorter dress, but I thought it might make quite a nice, yeah, sort of loose, sort of flowy summer dress. It is a bit sheer, but I'm hoping if it's gathered a bit, I wouldn't need to line the actual skirt, or I could always wear a little slip underneath, I guess, if I needed to. But yeah, that's what I was thinking for that one. So I thought I'd share those plans in the hope that then it would mean I actually would get on with actually doing it, and actually this is one of those fabrics where I guess it's one of those fabrics still available. So I figured if I did make it and I ended up really not liking it or something and I wanted to make something else, I would be able to get this fabric again in the future. So there shouldn't be too much pressure that I put on myself for this fabric, but it is such a pretty fabric, I wanted to do it justice. So yeah, that is my plan for that one. So I think that pretty much brings me up to date in terms of sewing projects and fabrics and plans and that sort of thing. And then the next thing I wanted to move on to is what I've been up to over the last week or so on the knitting front. So I think in last week's video, I was very near the end of a crochet project, which was making a crochet sort of cowl neck scarf that I was making using a free crochet pattern and some yarn I had left over from another project that I was keen to use up. So I finished that off and I've actually been wearing it this week and it's been keeping me nice and cozy because it has been quite chilly this week. So here is my twisted crochet cowl that I'm really glad I made. So that is all done and dusted. So having finished that, I've been moving on to a knitting project that I promised my daughter I'd start working on, which is to make a dog from this book here, the Knitted Dogs and Puppies book by Sue Stratford, which my mum found in the local library. And I've been working on a few projects in this book, and I already finished this dog for my son, Danger Dog, who was really fun to knit, and I think he's really cute. And my daughter actually, when she's seen Danger Dog made up, said she would quite like a Danger Dog too. So that is what I've been working on now. She has also requested one other dog in this book, but it looks really complicated. So I think I'm going to get Danger Dog done first before I then launch into giving that other one a go. It looks like it'll be a bit of a stretch. I mean, this has been a stretch in places, but yeah, that other dog looks like it takes it to a next level of knitting. So yeah, I've been working on a new Danger Dog. And I've been trying to use yarn again that I already have. I really am trying not to buy too many new yarns and make do, because I have accumulated quite a few of these. This is like a sport weight yarn. It's like cotton sport weight yarn, which is great for toy making, but I've accumulated quite a few colours because quite a few of the patterns in a few of these knitting books I've used uses this yarn. So there's quite a few to choose from. So here is my daughter's Danger Dog in progress, and you can see she's a slightly different shade of grey. I assume she's going to be a she. I'll show you the other colours my daughter's picked in a moment, but yeah, slightly lighter shade of grey to my son's Danger Dog, just because I pretty much used up this colour on my son's, and I thought this would make a nice colour for a Danger Dog too. So yeah, at the moment I need to put the second leg on, and then a head will go on a tail, and then I need to make the outfit. So what I did is I knitted up all the pattern pieces for the actual dog's body itself. I'm going to sew them up, and then I'm going to knit the other pattern pieces, because I don't enjoy the sewing up as much. So I thought once I sew the dog up, it'll be a bit of a treat to get back to knitting some more bits to make the little outfit. So that is the plan. So my daughter's chosen some different colours for her Danger Dog outfit, because my son went with colours that are quite similar to Danger Dog in the book. As you can see, his Danger Dog in the book, he went for a slightly lighter blue, but essentially quite similar colours. So my daughter instead has chosen these colours I had left over again. She wants the main colour to be pink, with this sort of pretty sort of turquoisey or aqua colour for the little accessory bit. So yeah, the pink is going to be the main colour instead of blue, and then the sort of turquoise is going to be for all the little bits that are lime green on my son's dog. So I think that'll be quite cute, and they'll look quite different, the two Danger Dogs. And I went into town yesterday and I had a little bit of fun looking in our local sort of sewing, knitting, haberdashery shop, and I chose a few different button options. I chose 3 different buttons for my daughter to choose for the little button on the front of the cape here, and my daughter chose this little button here when I brought them home. This cute little star, a pink star, which I think will go nicely with this wool. So yeah, that is the plan. So I've got all the bits I need now, and I just need to keep on sewing up. So I started last night. I managed to get these pieces sewn together, so I'll do a bit more tonight, and yeah, hopefully Danger Dog might be sort of fully finished by next week. I might be able to share it with you next week, but we shall see. But yes, that is what I'm working on at the moment on the knitting front. I will link this book down below. All of my yarn, all these Saltwater yarns I got from Lovecraft. I will link the type of yarn I've used down below as well, in case it's something you're interested in knitting too. I do find it is quite nice yarn to knit with. It's quite fine, obviously. But because it's like a cotton yarn, it doesn't go sort of fluffy. So if they play with the toys, they seem to sort of stay in quite nice condition. You know, I find an acrylic yarn can go quite fluffy with a lot of handling. So yeah. Yeah, that's where I've got to with Danger Dog right now. But hopefully she'll be looking more like this by next week. So yeah, that's what I've been up to on the knitting front. So I think that's everything that I've got to share in today's video. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about what I've been up to over the last week or so on the sewing front and the knitting front too. Do let me know down below what you're working on as well. I always like to hear what other people are sewing and knitting. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, then please do subscribe and also press the bell icon, and that means you'll be notified when I bring out future videos. It's always lovely to have more like-minded people watching along, talking about sewing, sharing that sort of shared interest. I always feel lucky that I'm part of such a really nice, friendly online community. So yes, thank you very much for watching along, and I'll hopefully see you again for another video very soon. Bye!